And hello everyone, and welcome back to our 7-day tarot challenge, seeking some wisdom from the tarot cards themselves for manifesting. And today we are heading to the Emperor and going to see what message the Emperor has for us to learn from, to strengthen our own manifesting skills. So if you have just joined us today, please go back to day 2 and day 1, where you'll be looking at the Magician card and the Empress card for some wisdom from those recordings. And let me know if you're finding this an interesting way to look at the tarot. And hopefully it is creating some suggestions for you when it comes to your own manifesting skills. So please let me know. And this card that you're looking at right now is the Emperor card from my Van Gogh tarot deck. And I love the blue colours. So the Emperor here is where manifestation gets a bit less romantic and a lot more real. Because up till this point you can sit comfortably in all the ideas and you can visualize them and you can journal them and you can pull cards and feel into the energy and talk all about enlightenment. And all of that, of course, has its place. It does matter and it does build foundation. But the Emperor doesn't live in potential. He lives in structure. And this is exactly where many people start to feel resistance coming up, even if they don't realize it. Once again, the Empress card and the Emperor card can suggest, even subconsciously, rejection or approval from our family of origin, from our mother or father. And sometimes these particular issues tend to be the things that actually stop us manifesting as well as we would like to, depending on whether we had a very good upbringing or a very traumatic upbringing. So hold that in mind, but also don't let it stop you. Now the Emperor asks a very simple question: where in your life are you actually holding the container for what you say you want? Now, we're not talking about dreaming about it or thinking about it. This is about holding it. And there is a difference in that. And the Emperor is not here to inspire you. He is here to stabilize you. So he represents authority and discipline and boundaries and consistently. And I know none of those words feel particularly manifesty. They don't sound magical. And they don't sell well on Instagram. That's why I'm on Substack and on my page, my Facebook page. But they are the difference between something that is landing and something staying a nice idea in your head. And nice ideas in your head rarely make it into reality. Manifestation really needs a place to go. It needs a place to be and a place to exist. And if your life is chaotic or inconsistent or consistently shifting direction, there's nowhere for it to anchor. I'm learning that big lesson right now. Now, that's the part people don't like to hear. I don't like to hear that, but I need to. And you can't call it stability while living in instability. You can't manifest long-term success while avoiding the commitment that it takes to manifest it in the first place. And the Emperor is the part of you that builds the framework. He says if you want something real, then you need something solid to hold it. And this is where his energy becomes incredibly helpful, especially if you've been stuck in that loop of trying, hoping, visualizing, and not really seeing things take shape. The Emperor teaches consistency over intensity. So you don't need to do everything. You need to do something. and you need to do something repeatedly. And that's where momentum actually comes from. So he also brings clarity, because once you step into his energy, you start to notice where you've been vague, where you've been avoiding decisions, and where you've been leaving things open-ended because committing to one path feels risky. The Emperor doesn't entertain endless options. He chooses a direction, and that choice creates power. Power. When you decide properly, something shifts. Your energy stops scattering, your focus sharpens, your actions begin to line up. And that's where good manifestation starts to move. Not because you've done something mystical, but because you've created an alignment between what you want and how you are living. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more layered, because the Emperor is not always experienced as a supportive energy. And that's what we talked about before. For a lot of people, especially women, and especially anyone who's been complicated, who has had complicated relationships with authority or father figures, this card can feel confronting. It can feel rigid, controlling, and very distant at times. And this is important to talk about, because if this is how you experience the Emperor, you will unconsciously resist stepping into his energy. You'll associate structure with restriction, discipline with punishment, and authority with control. So instead of using this energy to support your manifestation, you push against it and stay in a space that feels freer in the moment, but ultimately keeps things unstable. And this is where your awareness matters, because the Emperor in his healthy form is not oppressive at all. He is protective. And he creates safety through structure, and he holds boundaries so things don't collapse around you. He brings order so growth can actually happen. Think of it like this. If the Empress is the fertile soil, the Emperor is the fence around it. So without that fence, anything can come in and disrupt what you're trying to grow. And distractions, other people's opinions, and your own self-doubt and inconsistency, all of it gets access. And the Empress says, no, this space is protected. And that protection is what allows something to develop properly. So if you've had experiences where authority felt unsafe, this card is asking you to redefine what authority looks like within yourself. And it's not about controlling others or being harsh or, feeling that you have to be in this leadership position. It's about thinking about whether you can actually hold a boundary around yourself. Whether you stop bleeding all your energy out into every single thing, and whether you can follow through on what you say you're going to do. And that's the work, because without it, manifestation really is unstable. So let's talk about very quickly where the Emperor can be unhelpful, because this is just as important. So taken too far, this energy becomes rigid and over-controlling and obsessive. And this is where manifestation starts to feel really heavy, and you usually let it go by that stage, because you lose the trust in what you are doing. You can't grip it tightly, because everything slows down then. And because you're operating from tension, not stability. And remember, the Emperor doesn't need to force. He holds things steady. So there is a quiet confidence in him that says, I've built something strong and I trust it to do what I have designed it to do. So you're looking at the foundations. Start by looking at one area where you say you want to change, just one, and ask yourself honestly, what structure exists here? And if the answer is, well, not much, then that's where you start. Maybe it's your time. Maybe it's your environment. Maybe it's your boundaries. showing up when you said you would, keeping things simple and consistent. Remember, you're not constantly starting over, you're building on something right now, and that creates momentum. And momentum is what makes manifestation feel real. You know you're moving, and that's the Emperor's gift. He turns manifestation from something uncertain into something grounded. So you can commit and you can follow through, and remember that changes everything. The Emperor makes sure that when it arrives, it doesn't fall apart, and that's a different kind of power. It's solid, and once you feel it even a little, you stop chasing outcomes so desperately, because you know you're building something that can actually hold them, and that's where things start to land and stay. So remember, this is building your border, this is building your boundary, this is building that container. And the container is you. It doesn't have to be external, it is you. So build a strong foundation. That's the message from the Emperor today. I will see you again tomorrow for our next day of learning to manifest strongly using the tarot cards. Bye for now.